So there is a push for Derek Chauvin to be pardoned by Donald Trump. And I can't say this loudly enough. I cannot disagree with this more. Let's talk about it. So first and foremost, the interaction Derek Chauvin had with George Floyd is what resulted in his death. I think if a responsible, good cop had actually pulled George Floyd over, that he may be alive today. Now, he was on fentanyl and there was some bad interactions happening there, but I mean, him being pulled out and having a knee on his neck for several minutes sure didn't help his can't breathe situation. And I mentioned the can't breathe part because George Floyd told the officers while they were pulling him out of the car that he was having trouble breathing. Now that would indicate to me that maybe you should get some medical personnel there, not put your knee on the dude's neck that is having trouble breathing for several minutes. But Derek Chauvin chose to put his knee on George Floyd's neck for several minutes, and that is the spot that George Floyd ended up dying at. Now there has been evidence showing that there was no damage to the trachea, so his knee on his neck didn't like break his neck or crush his trachea. It wasn't something like that, but restricting his airflow, I'm sure, had something to do with not being able to breathe. Now, Derek Chauvin, in his 19 years on the force, had 18 different complaints. Now, there's reports from other cops that I know that have said that they've gotten many complaints, and 18 complaints over 19 years isn't that large of a number. However, I think the more important number is that he had 2 complaints that were substantiated against him. And most of these complaints were because of excessive use of force, which is directly related to what happened with George Floyd. There was another instance of him putting his knees on the back of a young boy for 17 minutes, and that was one of the complaints that was sustained against him. There's tons of other complaints about him putting his knees on their back or on their neck. So this was a thing that Derek Chauvin had done previously several times, and at least 2 of those times had been reprimanded for. But because cops are protected by their police unions, a lot of these excessive force complaints end up not going the way that they should. A lot of these excessive force complaints, a lot of these cops that use excessive force are still on the force because they are protected by that union. So I think that after George Floyd's death, the Black Lives Matter movement hijacking this and using this as a racial tool was the wrong move, because it's not about race so much. It's about police and police brutality and the fact that they're not held accountable to it most of the time. All that is to say, Derek Chauvin was a bad cop. I think he was a bad person, and there's no way in hell he should get a pardon.